Welcome to Idea Success TV, your videocast with a focus on business trends, best practices, stories, and solutions that help you transform your ideas to action for profit and purpose. If innovation, disruption, creativity, or collaboration are concepts you embrace, then Idea Success TV is the program for you. Grab a friend or colleague to share the message, settle in and take notes, and make time in your day for Sylvia to help you bring your ideas to life. And now, here's your host, Sylvia Henderson.
Hello, and welcome to Idea Success TV. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I am honored that you're spending your time with us today. This segment of the program is called Ideation Station, and there's a reason for that. One of the things about getting ideas out and implementing ideas is to just kind of talk the ideas through with somebody else. Because when you're stuck in your own head, you sometimes tend to get tunnel vision about what you're thinking, about your ideas. And so part of what I do for my business, and a lot of other people do, is to just have someone talk through their ideas. And, you know, we get different perspectives. We get asked other questions that we don't think of ourselves. So that's what you're going to watch happen in this program today. And to help me do that, I've invited a co-host, Renee Canali, and from Land of Possibilities. So, Renee, welcome to Idea Success TV.
Oh, I'm glad to be here, Sylvia. I'm excited. And
so one of the other key pieces to this is I like to have somebody who thinks differently from the way I do, who hears things differently, has a different perspective, so that when we're working with our guest, we might ask different questions or hear different things and offer different solutions or thoughts or whatever. And so today, our guest, the person we're going to do our ideation with, is Sheronde Glover, and she is the Business Practioner. She's a speaker, an author, a consultant, a coach, and doing really good business. But you know what? Even when you're solid with what you're doing, there's still stuff that you need to get out. So Sheronde, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate you having me on to talk through some of my business concerns today.
All right. And so tell just, let folks know who you are.
Sure. So as you stated, I'm the business practitioner. I work with entrepreneurs and visionaries, leaders and their teams, helping them to basically accelerate their ideas, think strategically, and execute. So I am definitely an implementer. I also I do that through strategic planning. I provide some operational support, project management. But the business practitioner is also the umbrella of two brands that I have. One is actually birthed from a book that I co-authored called Sipping Tea and Doing Business, A Holistic Journey to Business Success. So it is just a model's balanced business specifically for women. And then the other brand is Car by Her, which is an automotive resource for women that educates women on car buying and maintenance. So as you can might imagine, that is a full load for an entrepreneur. And one of the things that I've been looking at and been thinking through is a hybrid of sorts. And it, from my perspective, where the brands intersect is somewhere between business and women's empowerment. So I've had an opportunity to just really think through. I am one of those entrepreneurs, I think we all are. We have lots of ideas, and oftentimes we have to scale ourselves back. So we can be real good sometimes doing that with other people, and then maybe not always so good doing it with ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
So this is, does that sound familiar to anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm feeling really good about the fact that I have found a way to merge some of the dynamics of the businesses and the brands, as well as my interests. And what that will look like is a series of women's empowerment workshops and events. Where I am, I would say, a little bit stuck is how I want to begin to, I don't want to say diminish, but how I begin to pull away from the additional brands, because right now they are each separate entities. So for example, Car by Her has its own website, its own social media and things of that nature. And it's a little bit like your children, you know, our businesses, our brands are our children. And, you know, one may need a little more attention. And so when that happens, you cater to that, but they begin to mature and you have to find a way to step back and pull away. So I'm trying to find a good way to do that. I have a team that continues to say to me, no, this is what you need to be doing. And it's so much potential and opportunities are there. And every other day, somebody is emailing me, asking me, can I write for the site? Can I do this? And every time I'm ready to let go, there's an incredible opportunity that seems to fall into my lap. And so I'm just really trying to process that through, and would love to hear any questions that you ladies may have that can support that thinking of how to pull away, particularly when there are still opportunities for the brand, still potential for the brand. It may look like someone else takes it on, someone else manages it, but I need to find a way. I need to find a way to.
I know they heard. You can hear me on the recording.
Yes.
I said she's answering her own question.
Yeah. Great client.
So okay, so which brand? So I heard two things. I'm hearing, how do I step away from one of the brands, I think, is what I heard. And of course, the natural question is which one. But the other thing I'm hearing is, how do I merge the two brands?
Yeah, so one of the things that I was able to do is have a conversation with a brand strategist. And she talked about the hybrid, which I love the idea of the hybrid. And so she shared some ideas around that, which fit very well. And so I think that is great. So I do have the series that I have developed. I'm really looking forward to getting out there. But I would like to be able to, again, identify a way to just remove myself from the brand.
Which brand? The car brand?
Yeah, the automotive brand. Yeah. Okay. Really, to be honest, I would say, I think it's just a different approach to the brand. So the hybrid actually includes all of the brands.
Okay.
It's just the way that it will be delivered. And so I'm looking at a way to, because what I started to gather is with both the brands, Sipping Tea and Doing Business, as well as Car by Her, it still falls under this bucket of women's empowerment. But that feels new to me because I don't feel like I've been in this space, but I really have been in this space, just didn't have the title. I didn't have that title. So now it almost feels like it's completely new, a new something. I don't think that it really is, but it's just a matter of how you adjust the thinking around it.
Feel free to ask as you're thinking too, Renee.
Well, I'm really curious if it feels new to you and it feels right to you.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to figure out, how did I end up in the women's empowerment space? And for some reason,
Hold
I
on.
can't figure that out.
It sounded like there was a little more to the question.
Well, no, it's okay because you just clarified something for me. I was going to ask you, what is this confusion that I'm feeling? And part of the confusion is that you're wondering how you ended up in the women's empowerment space.
Yeah, I think that's it. I've always had an interest in, well, my background is just in personal professional development. And so I was having a conversation with a colleague, and I think it's just this, I don't know if it's because I feel the need to see them so separately. What people are saying to me is that you can do these things collectively. You just need to figure out the bucket. And I think the bucket has become the woman's empowerment piece. Because if you think about car buy, it's not so much about, hey, car buying a man. It's just, we say, take control of your car life, right? So what I'm saying to women is, you don't have to be an automotive expert, but you do need to have some knowledge. You do need to have some understanding of what this process. So if you go into a dealership, or you do know how to facilitate this process. So it is about empowering women. And even with the sipping tea, it's about business. It's empowering women in business, but it's just allowing women to be exactly who they are, however they show up. And so that you can have a balanced approach to business. You can be your authentic self in business. You can approach business however you want to approach it as a woman in business, and that's okay. You don't have to try to, and keeping in mind this brand has been around for a while, but there was a time when, women felt like they had to do business, like a man. And so what we're saying is you can do business however, whatever feels right for you in terms of who you are and how you, how you do your work. And so it's still really about empowering women just in the aspect of business and allowing them to show up however they feel they need to show up.
I had this visual, which unfortunately pops up every now and then. I had this visual of you sipping tea,
yes,
in a car dealership, or in a car, in a high-end car, with a small group of women, like 3 or 4, whoever fits in the car, and having a real powerful mastermind. Okay, sometimes it goes crazy, but
no,
however,
I love that. I love that because we talked about something in the line of, tea and tune-ups, right? So you are right on point.
Because I'm thinking, and I'm not supposed to come up with a solution, but I'm trying to. When things hit my head, I'm going to do it, because I'm thinking if car dealerships, while they're not your customer, I'm assuming the woman buyer is your customer, but the car dealership can provide space. You might be able to get sponsorship from car dealerships, so that you're bringing people in. You might be able to, on an early morning before they open or when they close, have a business session in their service bay, or in the green room, in their waiting room. These are just like free-flowing thoughts that I'm picturing, because part of me is saying, where's the money? And it could be in the sponsorship of the dealers or some other car environments. Anyway, that was just one thought.
Yeah, no, I like that. And I just want to share with you that actually the dealerships actually were what we would consider an audience, and exactly in the way that you talked about, because one of the things that we've done in the past, but I love what you just said, and I'll go back to that in a second. But one of the things that we do is we host clinics for women, car clinics for women.
Okay.
And so we do this in conjunction with, and we talk about things like how to buy and how to service and what's under the hood. And we've been real unique in offering mostly an all-female panel so that it's very relatable to the women. And so we've done this in different places, and we've approached dealerships, and we even have had a dealership program, because women haven't always felt as comfortable going into dealerships. You'll probably notice now, starting to see a little bit of shift. You see more women actually on the sales floor in the dealerships. And so it's just really been important to like help the dealerships move to that space. So one of the things we were able to offer is just marketing support and like diversity initiatives to help the dealerships become what we call more woman friendly. So, but what I love about what you said was going back and tying it into the business aspect of it. So having the business clinics inside the dealership, and now you're hitting, and that's exactly where I think we want to go with it, is instead of it being so segmented, like we could literally have a full conference that covers business and auto and all those different things that, you know, women have to think about. So I love the fact that you offered that business clinics inside the dealership. And sponsorships, yeah, we've definitely done sponsorship proposals and things of that nature.
Okay, so one of the things that I do, Sheronde, is notice patterns.
Okay.
And I'm curious to know if this sounds like a pattern that you recognize. That you're in the process of figuring something out and finding ways that it could work. And you have some more detailed information, and I wonder where this larger piece that you brought to us went. You had a bigger vision instead of just the how. Where did that go?
I'm not sure I understand your question. I want to make sure I'm clear. The why is what you're asking. Where did the why go?
More the who you want to become, what you want to create. Where's the bigger vision instead of, okay, so
the technical, yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
because
I get it.
Because you're down here, and I would suggest that coming back up and getting, you know, as I would say to Sylvia, in the clouds, gives you more perspective as to what other things might come into play.
Yeah, that may be the clarity piece. I happen to be, and I find this in many people, and I say this, you know, we're so multi-talented. So I have a lot of interests and I have a lot of skill sets. So the whole narrowing myself down definitely becomes a challenge. So in other words, what you're asking, what space do you want to play in? You know,
Okay, so
different spaces.
Okay,
so that broader vision of, I think, ideally at this stage, it's going to lend itself towards the series, the Women's Empowerment series that I'm looking to offer, which combines the various brands.
Perfect.
That I have, and it also combines the interests that I have. It allows me to talk about the things I want to talk about with the audience that I want to talk to, and bring in some of those different elements, which will give them different perspectives around traditional topics.
Right. So one of the things that I would offer to you is, because you want these things to combine, and because you have so many things to offer, is to play the game of imagination. Bring play into this. Leave the serious behind for a second, because that's going to get you down into details that you might not be ready to handle. And bring in the imagination and keep asking yourself questions like, what if all of me was represented in my business? What if I found 10 new ways to empower women? What if my series was worldwide in 5 years? Ask yourself those kinds of questions that for you naturally would not come in the beginning. Because asking those questions a lot of times helps you get the clarity that you're looking for.
I think that's interesting. I like it. I think the challenge that I have, and Sylvia will understand this because we were involved in a mastermind group that allowed us to go through the strength finders and do some core work. And so what I recognized, or what was identified as my top areas, the two top ones were strategic, ideation, and then I think it was futuristic. So I think the reason I go to the details is because I have to go to the details to like move it, because I can visualize and concept, and I have a ton of ideas. But then, it's just, for example, I may have an idea and I can do the detail. I tell people I'm so evenly left and right brain. I can do all the details. I can conceptualize, I can implement, but then I get bored. So I'll do it, and then I'm on to the next idea. And so what I hear a lot, and people will say to me, Sheronde, if you just stay with the original idea, but I want to move it on. And so I don't know maybe what that looks like, because I've even had people offer maybe I could hear some ideas that I could almost offer to other people to carry some of them out, because I'm on to the next idea. Let's be creative. Let's innovate. I have 250 ideas about ways that I can, do different things. And it's okay, but you don't need another brand. You don't need another program.
So stop for a second, because you're off in 100 miles an hour again. So I want you to stop. Plus, I'm gonna kind of wrap things up in about 3 or 4 minutes.
I'm looking at the time.
I'm seeing something too. I can see you there's something else in your head. See?
Yeah. A lot of times when we are distracted or bored, it's because our dream is not big enough. It's because the vision isn't big enough. We are settling for what we normally do and accepting that that's the way that it is. What if you and your idea and your vision was so big that all of the ideas fit into that in their own time and in their own way, instead of categorizing and compartmentalizing each of the ideas? Because what I heard you say at the very beginning, and you said it with so much emotion, I really want to bring all of these pieces. I'm so good and so interested in so many things. And then I felt you go down to this place that you're comfortable with, is my sense.
I guess I love that. And I really enjoyed the questions that you brought about before.
And I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to suggest that you think about them and not explain.
Okay, not explain. Yeah, no, and I don't want to explain. I would like to be able to come from this space without more questions, because that part, I can do that with myself all day long. That's the space I've been in. I would probably like to be able to say, okay, here's a way that you can get to this this space of pulling them all together. Not so much what it looks like, but maybe this is the overriding something that can move you to the space of bringing them all together. And then be honest, where I'm at right now is just really doing that, just allowing myself to say, these are the things that I'm interested in, that I enjoy, that I do, and being able to put them out there and not having any concern about what that might look like in terms of how does that fit in with what she's doing?
Okay, so here's my because Renee goes to vision and I go to, okay, so here's my implementation thing. So just to come.
Yeah.
So from the corporate background and the corporate training that I used to do, I came to the entrepreneurial space with, well, I can help people, communication skills and presentation and leadership and decision making. And so they were all, yep. And because we both worked with the same person, coach-wise, a couple of years ago, one of the things that I ended up doing was taking Post-it notes, my favorite tool, and I might suggest you do this with your team because they see you from the outside, whereas you're seeing yourself from the inside. And is to do literally an ideation of the words. What are all the things, all the words, all the phrases that represent your skill sets? And literally just post a bunch of them up on the wall or on the table or something. And you're going to get all the disparate, all the separate things that you say you can do and that you like or that influence people with your mastery. And they may all look different. They're all the different things that may look like all the different things that you're thinking are separate. And then challenge yourself and ask your team, almost what Renee said, what's the pattern?
Yep.
What are one or two words that represent all this stuff? Because that's kind of what I did. And out of all the stuff, all those topics that I was good at, what came out was getting ideas implemented. I mean, you got to communicate your ideas. You have to make decisions about ideas. You have to, make presentations about your ideas. So all those things that seem separate to me, that quote every other speaker in our organization does, but when I put them all together, somehow now I am one of the few idea implementation experts, but I still have all that stuff that I do well, and it just all falls into that umbrella. So that's that's the exercise I suggest is first is ideating all the things you do and then challenging your team. What's the one or two things that all of these things represent? You may not be the idea implementation expert. You may be that may be another ideation coming up with a name, but you might find a nice umbrella that you can then tie all those things that seem separate together. So people stop saying, what is it you do this time? People don't ask me that anymore. They say, you hear Sylvia, and I've had several groups say, we know you're the ideas and action. And they don't worry about all the little separate things that go into it. And that kind of frees me to do whatever I want almost, still under the umbrella. I'm about ideas and action. And that might help you get really clear with, quote, what you're about, and then be able to pull all that stuff under that one brand. So.
And a point that might help clarify where I was coming from before, Sheronde, playing what if when you're not able to move forward, you can't figure something out. When you keep telling yourself, I have to figure it out, there's a possibility that there's more to discover. And I love your suggestion, Sylvia. Have other people that you trust that are on your team give you feedback because they have more eyes as to how you operate in the world. And they may see an opportunity that you're not quite ready to accept yourself, but once they bring it to you, you can see that you are empowering yourself by taking that on. And it gives you the direction that you're looking for. You're discovering what else needs to be added before you get down to the detail.
I'm getting that time to wrap up in my ears, so we need to, things to think about it, and I saw you write down a couple of things to maybe do. I know we didn't, quote, solve the issues of the world, but maybe one thing. What one thing can you take away from this half-hour conversation that you can actually act on, since you're the implementation actor?
Well, I think it goes back to, I like the sticky notes, and I think that sounds good because that's I've started that in some ways with a few team members, asking them, what does this bucket look like to you? But I like the idea of doing it more comprehensively. And it doesn't even have to be together. Like I can literally say, okay, just put these things on stickies and I can collect them and then, work through them. So
I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you for the power of the group. If they're all over the world, to spend time on Zoom or whatever tool, so that they each hear each other. That's why I'm challenging you as a group, so they hear each other.
Okay.
Richness.
As well as you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Richness in conversation. And it feels like maybe that's the pattern of pulling away again.
The pattern of pulling away.
You're pulling away a little bit to let other people do their thing instead of accepting that together you all can create something even bigger. So,
okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did this feel?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
It's basically
good.
it's what we did is masterminding on camera.
Yeah. No, it's
Okay. Well, I'm going to thank you for playing with us and allowing us to see some of what you're struggling with inside. I guarantee you that many viewers are going to be watching this going, yeah, I got the same issue. So this was good.
Yeah, I think it's probably every entrepreneur's, because as an entrepreneur, I mean, we are about ideas, right?
absolutely.
So it's just a matter of sometimes it's like scaling. I see it as scaling down, but then, broadening it as well. So I see both of the variables being important. Because we are in this space where people tend to say, like, okay, what's your niche or your niche or however you want to pronounce it. So, we're in that space and you're like, okay.
All right.
So it's both of that. And so I do think that having the two perspectives is good.
Cool. So real quick,
Yes.
What do you do? Shameless promotion. What would you like viewers to come to you about, and how do they reach you, or what's your website? Well, their website will show in the lower thirds, but real quick.
So
promotion.
again, I help visionaries, leaders, and CEOs move those ideas forward. So very much like yourself, Sylvia, when we first met, I thought, gosh, we do very similar things. I help people strategize, develop strategies through the use of planning, and then help them execute.
Awesome.
Execute on their ideas.
Perfect.
So my website is thebusinesspractioner.com.
And we're going to show a picture of your logo, and I found an image online, so it's got a picture of you too. in that glamour shot of that book back there. So we'll show that on the video. And again, thank you so much for doing this with us. And Renee?
Thanks, Sheronde.
Thank you all as well. I appreciate it.
All right.
Much success is coming.
Thank you.
All right. Make a great day. We'll talk to you later.
You've been watching Idea Success TV with your host, Sylvia Henderson. Idea Success TV is a syndicated production of the Idea Success Network and Sylvia Henderson. Most programs are recorded and produced by Village Connector Media. Permission to share, repost, and rebroadcast is freely given, provided it's done without charge of an access fee, and you inform Sylvia of your actions. If you have questions about this program or wish to participate in an upcoming show, please contact Sylvia at ideasuccess.tv. Thank you for listening and watching Idea Success TV.